Hey, we're back. First Unsportsmanlike Conduct episode of 2017. Happy New Year, everybody. We have missed being around, so it's great to be back, and we decided to kick things off with a head-to-head TV battle breakdown. Monday night, arguably the greatest college football game of all time. With a little lapse in the middle, but that ending, and taking into account it was a rematch of a classic between the same two teams, and the ending was even better, it was amazing. Ranks right up there with Texas USC. And it reminded me, after watching another industry's version of a national championship, that sports is without question the king when it comes to reality television. Nothing compares. Or does it? Because it's award season in the entertainment industry, the Globes, the Oscars, the People's Choice, do people still watch those? These are the entertainment world's version of the Super Bowl, college football playoff, and Final Four. So we decided to compare the two, head-to-head, mano-a-mano, and pick a winner. The Super Bowl, look, it's a Super Bowl. It stands alone. And let's face it, the Oscars, they're the entertainment industry's version of the Super Bowl. So I think fair to call the Golden Globes, which often are predictors of Oscar winners, sort of the equivalent to Hollywood's college football playoff, a semifinal, if you will. So let's get to it. Golden Globes versus national championship game. First off, host. Jimmy Fallon versus Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. Now, Herbie, I admit, he makes this one a close call. But Fallon's nimble maneuvering when the prompter went down in his opening monologue, we give him the edge from a host perspective. Plus, Fowler and Herbie didn't dance or do a Sting impersonation. Fallon gets kudos, too, for not pulling a Mariah Carey and just walking off with that prompter issue. Mariah wrote the songs. They're hers. And she was lip-syncing anyway. Just mouth it and fake it and finish. New Year's Eve was fun, wasn't it? But I digress. Host edge, we go Fallon. Now, while the Golden Globes had this guy, Clemson had this guy. We give that one to the Tigers in the college football playoff. Plus, he caught the game winner after all tied up. Watchability, look, both were way too long, but that's always the case. And really, if the game is good, I usually want it to go a little bit longer anyway, as long as I'm watching at home and don't actually have to navigate a parking lot after. And since I don't live on the East Coast and I didn't have to work Tuesday morning, but 4 hours, 8 minutes, that was awfully long. But the Globes checking in at 3 hours plus. My DVR didn't even get the best movie speeches since it ran over. Since there were no touchdowns thrown, no hurdling of defenders or goal line stands, we'll give the edge here to the college football playoff. The college football playoff didn't have Gosling. Singing and dancing, we don't see that in Hollywood anymore. But the CFP did have Jalen Hurts, a redshirt freshman, and his moves were almost as good as Gosling's. And he's only going to get better. If not for going 13 for 31 passing, Hurts wins here. But Gosling singing too. Golden Globes gets the edge. Plus the white tux and speech was classy from Gosling. Biggest bust out, blow down the door, stop in your tracks play of the night. Well, O.J. Howard's touchdown qualifies. So does the game winner from Deshaun Watson to Hunter Renfrow, of course. But hands down, Meryl Streep wins this nod going away. Whether you agree with what she said or not, we're not taking issue with that here. It was the show-stealing moment, and more of America was talking about Streep's undressing of the president-elect than that Renfrow catch the next day, so Streep wins here. If you get the president-elect to fire back shots at you the next day, you win here. And I'll say this, while Trump says he doesn't need daily intelligence briefings because, in his words, he's, quote, like a smart person, then maybe he should at least get intelligence briefings on Meryl Streep's acting credentials going forward, because the 19-time Oscar nominee and 3-time Oscar winner, clearly one of the great actors not only of her generation but of all time, is not, as Trump tweeted, one of the most overrated actresses in Hollywood. Now, he may know more than all the generals. We'll give him that, actually. That's fine. But he definitely did not do his homework on Hollywood. Best speech. Now, the Globes had plenty of nominees. And come on. It's the Golden Globes, well-spoken, trained actors whose job it is to work on their voice and presentation. But in a major upset here, best speech goes to Dabo. The pure, raw emotion he showed immediately after the win. And he said his team, they didn't win because of execution or commitment, but because of love. That was incredible. Dabo Sweeney gets the nod over Casey Affleck, Emma Stone, Viola Davis, everybody for best speech. All right, so we're all tied. It comes down to this. Best finish and supporting cast. Now, best finish, it's a no-brainer. And for those arguing it was an illegal pick at the end of the game, if the receiver Artavis Scott had picked the DB covering the other receiver, Renfrow, who caught the pass, then yes, easy flag. but that wasn't the case. Sweeney actually came out and said Bama should have been flagged for defensive pass interference. I think a no call in that situation was appropriate. Either way, best finish, college football playoff. Now, best supporting cast, this almost isn't fair. Of course, Hollywood's going to win this one, right? They had Brad Pitt, Steve Carell, and Kristen Wiig's comedy bit was incredible. But again, in a shocker, best supporting cast goes to the college football playoff. Thanks to Mike DeFee and those enormous guns and triceps that he was all about showing off from the outset, by the way. He was nearly trending on Twitter with those things. So there it is. The college football playoff takes the crown over the Golden Globes. Hope you enjoyed them both. I certainly did. It's great to be back. We may have to do this segment again with the Super Bowl against the Oscars, so stay tuned for that. Congrats to all the Golden Globes winners, by the way, and to Clemson for their first national title in 35 years. We'll see you next week.